Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, inshallah, we all did our assignments. I don't see them on our little table here, all printed out. Yeah, actuals. So we can read them at the end in our next lesson. So if you've got it printed, put it here for me, please. And a big round of applause for Vivian, please, everyone. Welcome back. Yeah, after break, inshallah. Now, the number one principle of Usul al-Din, Ma'rifatullah. And the first thing we want to do is establish the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as we can and refute any arguments against the existence of God. And we will say truly, pay attention to this, we will say truly if the arguments are just an argument against our notion of God, or are they conclusive arguments, or is it conclusive evidence that definitely a creator for this universe does not exist. Allah will say the sophistry in it and will debunk the logical fallacies. Do you all have a copy of this? I think he's from last week. He must have taken it. If you don't have it, if you want to read it off a paper, it's in the tray over there. So the first proof for the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what we call Dalilul Fitrah, or proof of innate. What does innate mean? Anyone can tell me what innate means? No. Innate. Intrinsic, and is something instilled within you. Before I explain the concept of proof of innate, let's explain what the word means, because in Arabic, Fitrah, we all know what it means. For example, this is what the word innate means. You're born, you're about 5 minutes old, you're crying, and your mother brings you to the breast, and subhanAllah, you know how to eat. Who taught you how to eat? And you see this in the whole entire animal kingdom. This is innate. Who taught you what was beautiful? You know, when you see something beautiful, you say, wow, that's beautiful. Who taught you that, hey, this specific thing is beautiful? This is what we call innate. It is instilled within you. It's self-evident. It doesn't require any knowledge. It is not acquired knowledge. It is something, if I ask you why, so it just is. That's what it is. It's innate. It's called in Arabic al-Fitrah. I-N-N-A-T-E. It's as if you're programmed with software. I-N-N-A-T-E. I think. So the paths to knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are many. As it is said, the ways to Allah are as numerous as the breadths of creation. In fact, the ways to Allah are as numerous as creation itself. There's a poet, he said, in everything there is a sign indicating that He is one. وَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. Here we mention some Quranic proofs for the fundamentals of Islamic beliefs and highlight some evidence related to the Quranic verses. So we said, although we present some evidence for the existence of Allah Almighty through certain Quranic verses, the Quran confirms the truth that the existence of Allah is self-evident and beyond doubt. As Allah Almighty in the Quran says, is there any doubt about Allah, the creator of the heavens and earth? أَفِي اللَّهِ شَكٌّ فَاطِرُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, is there truly any doubt that Allah exists? Is there truly a doubt? And do you not look around you? Do you not see the universe? We're going to get to some of these. Please read up here. Most of the scholars of tafsir believe that the natural disposition towards belief in Allah Almighty is something derived from Quranic verses. that is belief in Allah, ultimately is innate to humans, just as they have inherent instincts like loving goodness or disliking evil. Similarly, humans naturally seek to find and believe in Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ar-Rum, verse 30, so set your face toward the religion inclining to truth, the fitrah of Allah upon which He has created mankind. There is no changing the creation of Allah. That is the correct religion, but most people do not know. What does He say here? He says, set your face towards religion, inclining to truth. He says, this is the fitrah of Allah. This is what Allah has instilled upon within you. And if you read the bottom, it will explain here that not only do you have a natural disposition to believe in the Creator, but you have a natural disposition to believe in religion, to have an organized system to live your life. And if it's not religion, it's laws in general. The human being needs laws. We cannot live in chaos. You cannot live in that chaos. If the government doesn't give you laws, think about this. You will give yourself laws. You will run according to a schedule you created for yourself. You will reach targets and goals that you set for yourself, and you will punish yourself if you do not meet them, and you will hate yourself. And you will talk to yourself as if you have a split personality or schizophrenia. How dare I? Especially if you're studying or you have a work deadline. You will put it upon yourself. You will make it imperative that I must follow these laws. You go to the gym, I have to follow this gym routine. Why? Who said you have to? You said you had to. Because you're a human being and you need laws. If nobody gives them to you, you'll find them yourself. And if your laws within you are lacking, if you feel like, I need more direction in my life, what do? You reach out to somebody and you say, give me laws. Manager, give me tasks. Gym trainer, give me a program that I can follow. Dietitian, give me something that I can eat. You tell me what to do. You've seen this many times. Relationships with a husband and wife, the husband might come to his wife and say, keep the money. You tell me how to spend that. I'm lacking. I need to set laws for myself. Who told you need to do this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this religion or the love of religion. What's religion? It is laws for the betterment of mankind. He says we have instilled this within you. So not only is the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fitrah, but religion, laws, rules, regulation, you cannot live without them no matter how much you complain about them. So we'll start with the second verse here. However, the natural disposition towards belief in Allah does not mean that a person is necessarily always conscious of Allah. Just because you have that feeling, it doesn't mean the person who doesn't know about Allah is always thinking about God. But in the back of their mind, there's something. We'll read in the next verses. There are many factors that can cause this awareness to be hidden deep within the soul, preventing the fitrah from recognizing the Creator. When this veil is lifted, a person will hear the call of the fitrah. When a person faces grave dangers, such as massive waves, this is a very old example, attacking a ship, or a technical failure in an aeroplane that threatens to crash, or similar situations, when humans face danger, they immediately and naturally turn to Allah without needing any lessons to prove the existence of Allah to them. Everyone, no matter how much they lie about it. Find the biggest person in the world, the champion of atheism. When their plane is going down, not them, their soul itself, and ask them if they've had this experience. Fir'aun in the Quran, he prayed to the God of Musa. He says, Amantu bi Rabbi Musa, when he was drowning. And you'll see a lot of people, they had near-death experiences. They didn't believe, they had near-death experiences. And somehow after that, they became religious. Their soul latches onto something. And maybe there was a time in your life, and of course, this isn't the strongest of proofs, but it is one of them nonetheless. Perhaps maybe a time in your life where you weren't very connected to God. Let's think about this for a second. and you didn't care much about religion. You just heard God. People tell you there's a God, people tell you religion. But then something happens to you. Some tragedy befalls you. And you've strayed away intrinsically and instinctively, you've turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or you've called out for a higher power. You've called for something that is more powerful than you and more powerful than existence itself to rescue you. And it's at least happened once in everybody's life. And if it has not happened in your life, it will happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 65, and when they embark on a ship, they call upon Allah, sincere to Him in religion. But when He delivers them to the land, at once they associate others with Him. Another ayah in the Quran, Surah Yunus, verse 12. And when harm touches man, when harm touches the human being, he calls upon us, lying on his side or sitting or standing. But when we remove his harm from him, he continues in disobedience as if he had never called upon us for a harm that has touched him. Thus is made pleasing to the transgressors what they have been doing. This is that fitrah. That how many times have people called, not believing in Allah, not even believing in religion, that they call out to a higher power. This is what we call dalilul fitrah. And everybody has experienced this. Now, dalilul fitrah will tie to the rest of these. Dalilul fitrah, we'll call it, or what's it called in English again? The proof of innate. It is an introduction. It is a prerequisite for the other proofs of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, the proof of poverty. What does that mean? Dalilul faqr or fi'r. It don't sound so heavy in Arabic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O mankind, you are the ones in need of Allah, while Allah is the self-sufficient, the praiseworthy. If He wills, He can do away with you and bring forth a new creation, and that is not difficult for Allah. There is no doubt that poverty is a clear proof. What does poverty mean here? It doesn't mean not to have money. It means to be in need, literally. The word poverty, in Arabic we call fi'r. It literally just means to be in need of something. So you are, in other words, when it says here poverty, it means that you are needy for something to sustain your existence. You cannot sustain your own existence. Is a clear proof of the need for a strong and powerful being who can eliminate that need by bestowing existence. Therefore, the entire universe must have a creator who granted its existence. Why? Why does your weakness prove the existence of God? What is that? Right, and you did not create yourself. Mazboot. So let's go back. We're going to get very, very, very philosophical right now. Extremely. So put on your thinking caps, like we used to do when we watched Blue's Clues when we were young. Everything that exists or comes into existence is in need of something to what? To bring it into existence and to maintain its existence. Can you exist if your parents didn't bring you into existence? Can they exist if their parents didn't bring them into existence? What do we call that? We call you a possible existence. Mumkin al-wujud. You are a being that is only possible. That if you existed or did not exist, it would have made no difference. It would have made no difference at all. You are not a necessary existent. Now, for you to be a possible existent, or for your parents to bring you into this world, and for us to live in this world, what do we need? We need a world to live in, right? We can't go around floating in space. So we need a world. If the world didn't exist, we wouldn't exist. But if something brought the world into existence, it didn't just pop out of nowhere. Hello, we'll get to those ayat in a minute. So something brought the earth, even if it was through causes, something brought the earth into existence. Like the earth, can it continue to exist without the sun? Without needing the sun? No, it needs the sun. Now, can the sun continue to exist without its core? And can its core continue to exist without gravity? And can gravity continue to exist without, and can that without exist without? See how far back we can go? Now, if every weak existent or every possible existent relies upon something for its existence that is also weak and in need, and then that existent relies on something else for its existence, and that existent relies on something else for its existence, how far back would we go? Until we lead to infinite regression. And what did I say infinite regression was? To go back infinitely without a beginning, without something that puts everything into motion. What did we say that was? We said that it was a logical impossibility. Everything to do with God, everything to do with proving the existence of God, or a good bulk of it, has to do with the logical impossibility of infinite regression. Now the genius of you is going to write out a paragraph so you never forget what infinite regression is. I think I've spoken about it about 1,000 times now, but 1,001 times, unless someone would like to explain what it is. Jasmine? What is the logical impossibility of infinite regression? Yeah, what is it?
Everything needs everything.
Everything needs everything. But what does infinite regression mean? That's right.
Everything that we have now is needed from before to the past. So it's just a whole series of.
So it's an infinite series of events that stretch back into infinity. Very important. Why?
Chain of reaction.
All right. Now let's pay attention. Girls at the front, let's pay attention. Now, why is infinite? So infinite regression is when you regress infinitely. You regress infinitely. So your causes or your events go back لا متناهي. We call it in Arabic التسلسل. Why is that a logical impossibility? Why can that never happen? Because then nothing will ever happen, truly. So remember once I told you about the example of the guy who is a sniper and he wants to take a shot. He has a high profile target and he wants to take his shot. Now if you're playing Call of Duty, for example, and your sniper's all set up, now let's say this is in the real world. So he goes and he asks his commanding officer. And then his commanding officer asks his commanding officer. And his commanding officer asks his commanding officer. And then he asks his commanding officer. Imagine that goes on infinitely. Would that shot ever get taken? Never. This is what we call infinite regression, and it's a logical impossibility. Now, imagine, again, my favorite example, because I know you love to eat. We have food. It's Shahr Ramadan, we're about to break our fast. And we say, Yalla, let's dig in. So everyone's standing around and someone says, Wallah, I won't eat until Yahya eats. And Yahya won't eat, Ana ma bekul, until Ustaz eats. And Ustaz says, I won't eat until Fulan eats. Fulan won't eat until Fulan eats. Jana. No classic burgers. Imagine that goes on and it doesn't stop. The food will not get eaten. Now, imagine, it's called the domino effect. It's also called the domino effect. That we have a stack of dominoes. We want the last one to fall. Imagine the last one falls and it sets off the device. You know, you see those, I don't know, those tricks that people do when the last thing hits, it presses a button, the computer turns on, it's all very big. Now, for that domino to fall, what do we need? We need something to drop it. The one before it has to fall. And for the one before it to have to fall, what does it need? The one before that one to have to fall. And what does that one need? The one before it to have to fall. Now imagine those dominoes are infinite. They just go on forever and not one of them falls to knock the other one down, would anything ever happen? This is what we call infinite regression. And it is a logical impossibility that causes and needs go on ad infinitum. La mutanehi. It never happens. And I want you to do a quick search on infinite regression. And you're going to see some people trying to refute it, and then we're going to refute them as Allah. But we're not going to refute them now. You're going to find the refutations against the logical impossibility of infinite regression. That is your homework. You're all geniuses. And then we're going to refute their refutation. Now, do we understand the proof of need? That if everything needs something, and one thing is lacking, so it relies on something else, we end up with what? Needing a being that is self-sufficient, that relies on nothing else for its existence. We're not even calling it God yet. We're just calling it as it is, philosophically. So there has to be a being, that exists independently, without needing anyone to bring that being into existence, without that being relying on any other being. Otherwise, you end up with that infinite regression, and nothing would ever happen, and there will be no beings in the first place. Please tell me that makes some sort of sense. Yeah? Yeah, good. So we'll just read that last paragraph there. The phenomena of the universe, from the atom to the galaxy, including the heavens and the earth, are poor in themselves, and they are needy. They were nothing, then they were created. Or we'll say then they existed. They were preceded by non-existence, and for them to exist, there must be a creator. There must be something who brings them into existence. Things cannot exist without a creator. This creator must be rich, yani independent, that's what rich means, and capable of bringing them into existence from non-existence, because they cannot bring themselves into existence. And we have proofs of that in the Quran. So the first ayah is, O mankind, you are the ones in need of Allah, while Allah is self-sufficient. The next verse is, and Allah is the self-sufficient while you are the poor. Now, this is the one we want, Surah At-Tur. Or were they created by nothing? Who's they? The people, the human being. Or were they created by nothing, or are they the creators of themselves? Or did they create the heavens and the earth? Rather, they are not certain. These verses present questions and possibilities about the origin of human beings and the cause of the existence of the world. A. Did human beings come into existence without a cause, by mere chance? The question here is posed in the verse, or were they created by nothing? And it was the human being created from nothing, by nothing. أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Did the human being pop into existence out of nothing? Just random by chance? One day there was no human, bam, there was a human. One day there was no earth, all of a sudden there was an earth. One day there was absolute nothing, in the sense that there wasn't even a universe. There was no universe, and then there was a universe. How did that happen? Has anything come into existence from nothing? Has science, with all its marvels and all its wonders and all its theories and all its magnificence, has it ever said to us something just popped into existence? Has such a thing ever been measured in all of human history? So A says, B, did they create themselves, bringing themselves into existence? This possibility is hinted at the phrase, or are they the creators? Or was it you that created yourself? Or did the universe bring itself into existence? Did the universe bring itself into existence? That's a good question, because some people say that it did. Some people say there was nothing, and then the universe brought itself into existence. And if you think hard, then we'll find the logical fallacy with that one. C, did they cause the creation of the heavens and the earth? O you human, did you create the heavens and the earth? Did you witness it being created? And did someone other than Allah create them? Or do they have a God other than Allah? That last one we'll deal with in a minute. Number one, the first possibility is invalid because every phenomenon, event, and effect has a creator and a cause, as reason dictates. Anyone who claims an effect without a cause would be ridiculed by any rational person. So, did the universe just pop into existence out of nothing? Was there nothing and then was there something? Does that happen? Walk up to anyone. Yeah. Imagine you're driving your car, or you commit some crime, or you do anything in this world, and someone asks you, what's that? How did that building get here? So imagine, how did that building get here? It just popped into existence. Would any rational person accept that? Any rational. You try this. Think, have conversations. Don't talk about God with people. Establish principles first. This building, imagine, we never saw the pyramids of Egypt getting built. Like the big one at Giza, for example, the pyramids of Giza. We never saw them getting built. We weren't there, we did not witness it. It was a very long time ago. Now, they've come, subhanAllah, they've come up with 1,000 different theories about how they built the pyramids. They said it was slaves, or they said it was what? That's my favorite one. Don't knock it. Don't laugh when you say it. I could possibly believe in it. All right? Or they said that no, they were a group of engineers that were hired from regions of the earth. And how did you get those sandstones from here to there, from giants? They've come up scientifically, you see documentaries, they've come up with every conceivable notion about how they built the pyramids, yet none of it, they were not there, and there's no archaeological evidence either. But you know what? One of the reasons that they don't give is, you know what they never say? Oh, they just appeared. No one built them. Nobody at all built them. They have a design and a structure, but nobody built them. They just are. They just popped into existence. Nobody ever says that. Nobody ever talks about Stonehenge. Do you know Stonehenge? Please know Stonehenge. Bizarre منكم if you don't. Come on. It's a natural wonder. Or sorry, it's a man-made wonder. And how did they do that? Without any technology. They've come up, 1,000 different theories. None of them are what? Wallah, one day there was the earthquake and the mountain fell and rocks fell down and then they fell on top of each other like that in a perfect circle. Random chance. Nobody ever says that. All the pyramids, the Aztec pyramids and the Mayan pyramids built in South America, nobody ever says, oh, that was a volcanic eruption with rocks and then it just formed this perfectly triangular pyramid. Nobody. It's illogical. They'll laugh at you. The rational person will laugh. And they give you 1,000 different reasons and kaif and how and why and when. But nothing ever suggests that this thing just popped into existence on its own. Except the universe. Just the universe popped into existence on its own. The sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. All of them. They weren't there. We know they weren't there because we can see they have beginnings. But then all of a sudden they were there. We don't know why they're there. We don't have any theories, Big Bang, but it was definitely just chance and it just happened on its own. So that's the first possibility eliminated. Nobody ever says that things that begin to exist come into existence on their own. Nobody ever says that. Please pay attention to this. You're going to need it. Number two, the second possibility is also clearly invalid because saying the thing created itself means it existed before creating itself. This is an impossible concept because it implies that something existed before it existed. Yani the universe, that's the answer to that second one. Did the universe bring itself into existence? Absolutely not. It is a logical contradiction. Because how could the universe bring itself into existence? Because that will mean that it needs to exist and not exist at the exact same time. It doesn't work. That's what we call a logical contradiction. So did the universe create itself? Absolutely. Did anything bring itself into existence? For that thing needs to exist and not exist at the exact same time. This is what we call what? A logical fallacy. The third possibility is invalid because the human being, unable to create themselves, cannot possibly create something greater, such as the heavens and the earth. That was in the area before. And did the human being create the heavens and the earth? Did you create the sun, the moon? Did you human create them? That you are in doubt of their creation? Of course not. Because you couldn't even create yourself. And you are weaker than them. And you are smaller than them. And no human being has ever made this claim, nor any human being will ever make this claim. Number 4 would require the existence of a partner to the Creator, which is impossible, as will be proven in the next lesson. The next lesson we will say why there can't be two gods. And I think I've touched upon this before, but we'll do it again because you seem to have forgotten it. And if you haven't forgotten it, it'll refresh your memory. Do we understand that proof there of proof of need, that things do not create themselves? What conclusion have we not reached so far? What conclusion have we not reached so far? We haven't yet established the God of religion. We haven't established yet the God of religion. Keep this very handy in your mind when we refute the argument of atheists. All we've done so far is what? Is spoke about the possibility of a creator. We are not talking about the characteristics of this creator or the involvement of this creator in the ongoing world. All we said is that things do not bring themselves into existence. And we spoke about the logical impossibility of infinite regression. That will refute half your answers for to the atheists. Number 3, the universe as a sign of the Creator. This ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alteration of the night and the day, and the great ships which sail through the sea with what benefits people, and what Allah has sent down from the heavens of rain, giving life thereby to the earth after its lifelessness, and dispersing therein every kind of moving creature, and directing of the winds and the clouds controlled between the heaven and the earth, are signs for those people, or for people who use reason." Why? In this noble verse and many others, the Quran draws our attention to the phenomenon of life and the countless factors, both hidden and evident, that have contributed to the existence of life on this planet. As though asking, can all these factors and conditions come together purely by chance, without a creator who arranged and ordered them? Let's talk about some of the signs of life, and let's see if they are mere chance. And let's see if they could do this on their own. The earth was created with a specific gravitational pull and diameter that attracts water and air towards its center, maintaining them. If the earth's diameter were smaller than its actual size, its gravity would not have been able to retain water and air, and the temperature would have risen to lethal levels. And it's something just as small as the earth being a different size. And we take that for granted. We call it in Arabic amat takayyuf, blindness adaptation. And we're living on this earth and we're not paying attention anymore. And the scientist tells us, who probably doesn't believe in God like we do, they say, hey guys, if the earth was just a little bit smaller or maybe just a little bit bigger, and the size it is now, it's perfect for existence. It's called the Goldilocks paradox, or the Goldilocks metaphor. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. So the earth is perfect size to maintain life. That if its diameter was a little bit smaller or bigger, as if it says there, that there's no more gravitational pull and life on this earth cannot be sustained. That's just one of millions of signs in this world. If the earth were twice as far from the sun as it currently is, and the distance of the sun, I think, from the earth is 93 million kilometers. 93 million kilometers. Imagine the earth was at about 100 million kilometers or 110 million kilometers further from the sun. What would happen? So if the earth was twice as far from the sun as it currently is, its temperature would drop to a quarter of its current level, the winter would last longer, and all life would freeze. Yeah, not only is the diameter of the earth the correct diameter, but the very distance from the sun is perfect. And what do we say about perfection? That it has been perfected. It doesn't just perfect on its own. And no matter how hard you try, yeah, have you ever woke up in the morning, grabbed your haram, bundled it up and threw it behind you onto the bed and it came out flat and smooth? Has that ever happened? Never. Wallahi, I've probably never even attempted to make my bed. Yes, my mummy still makes it. But the point is, it has never happened. You've never thrown something and just landed perfectly with a proper design and a purpose and perfection. So if the earth was further than the sun, further from the sun, if it was closer to the sun, I don't know if it mentions it here. Is it? If the distance between the earth and the sun were halved, so if we move the earth half its distance forward now, the temperature on earth would be quadruple. The seasons would be half as long and life on earth would become impossible. Yani it's not too close, it's not too far, it's not too big, it's not too small. If the sun was bigger, the sun was smaller, it's all perfect. The earth rotates on its axis once every 24 hours, moving at a speed of 1,000 miles per hour. If its speed were reduced, the nights and days would be 10 times longer. So for us to have a day and a night that are, say, 12 by 12 hours, sometimes we have 8-9 hours of day depending on the season, but generally they're not that far apart, give or take a couple of hours. That's because of the speed of the earth rotating on its axis. All right, inshallah, there's no flat earthers here. If there is, yes. No. We'll discuss that in our next lesson. So the flat earth rotates on its non-existent axis. If the earth was to rotate on its axis slower, what would we have? You'd have longer days or longer nights. So your day, your sun, yani the sun being up, will last how long? More than 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours. It might last your standard 24 hours because the earth is too slow now. So the sun will be hitting it longer. And then when it finally does turn and the night enters, it's also turning slower. So then your nights will last longer. And what would happen to the vegetation on this earth? Death. Life will not be possible on this earth. These are some of the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's why He said in the ayah, look at the heavens, look at the earth. يُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِهِ فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. He shows you the signs in the heavens and in your own selves. Now look at this marvel. Did this happen by chance? So we go back here. The intense heat of summer sun. Imagine summer lasting. Imagine a summer day. Remember we had one the other day. It lasted for 24 hours. 45-degree heat for 24 hours. Why on that day did it end up getting cooler? Because the earth is turning now. Something's happening. The sun's moving. It's not in that same spot anymore. Imagine, and then when the night set in, the temperature cooled down. Imagine that sun was blazing above you. 45-degree heat for 15, 16, 17, 18 hours. What would happen to you? Imagine a heat wave. 20-hour days, non-stop, 40-degree heat. And we're just talking in Australia. Imagine countries like Africa. Imagine the Middle East. Imagine winter, freezing weather that lasts for hours, 24 to say 30 hours because the earth is too slow now. It's not moving at the correct speed to sustain life. Have you ever thought about just the speed of the earth, that if it was any faster or any slower, it would not sustain life? And that's in relation to the diameter, relation to the distance of the sun. Are we starting to understand the design now? These will already disprove the theory that you have probably brought with you, the proof of poor design. Already. But we'll do them anyway. If the sunlight reaching the earth were reduced to half its current intensity, meaning the sun needs to hit the earth with a certain amount of intensity. All life, if it doesn't, if that intensity was reduced, all life would perish from extreme cold. If this amount were doubled, all life would perish from the overwhelming heat. These are just a few examples demonstrating the necessity of a wise, powerful, and deliberate creator, and denying the possibility that the universe exists by chance. Conclusion of the lesson. Belief in the existence of Allah Almighty is self-evident and does not require proof. This is confirmed by the Quran. Is there any doubt about Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth? The natural disposition is evidence for the existence of Allah, and belief in Him is innate, just like other inherent instincts in humans such as love of good and the dislike of evil. Poverty, and being in need, is a conclusive proof of the need for a strong and needless creator who can remove this need by giving existence to everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, and the ships which sail through the sea, with that which benefits people, are all signs for people who use reason. And now we'll have our break. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.